We are living during a critical time on this earth, and we're witnessing how important our connection is to our bodies and our spirits, our planet, and one another.
And we're recognizing that to stand in our truth means honoring the full spectrum of our emotional human experience.
We're seeking answers in all the stories and medicine that will support us and guide us as we create the safety we need to face our fears and to feel our feels.
And we cannot do this alone. Community, connection, and compassion are at the heart of our collective healing.
I'm Ellen, a breathwork and medicine companion and creator of Trip with Ellen.
And I'm Sam, an integrative energy therapist and creator of involution healing. Welcome. Journey with us.
This is Woo New. This is an extra special treat for me today to be welcoming our guest, Jess Liu, who I had the honor of meeting at my recent death doula retreat with Going with Grace. She is a somatic sex educator and sexological body worker. She's a queer, cisgendered, first-generation Chinese settler residing in Hohhot-Gay, which is commonly known as Montreal now, or Jojake. Is that correct, Jess?
Yeah, Jojage.
Jojage. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I just love the way Jess describes who she is as a sensory nerd, and that she loves taking in information through touch and taste and dancing just for pleasure and just being so enthralled and enamored by her senses. She describes the forest as her top sensuous ally, which I just, as soon as I read those words, I was like, oh my God, hell yeah, me too. And that her senses remind her of her birthright to feel, and that feeling is the portal to ecological belonging. So welcome, Jess. Thank you so much for being among us in this little intimate circle. And before we even go further, I wanted to just check on your pronouns, because that's one thing that we didn't check. Am I saying it correctly? Or what pronouns do you usually use?
I use the pronouns she, her.
Okay, beautiful. I just wanted to make sure that that was correct.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
This is such a pleasure for both of us. And we're having this conversation a couple of weeks before we leave for Costa Rica, which is all about this celebration of life and living and being in the body. And so I just can't help but to notice the divine alignment of timing with this conversation and preparing us for that journey.
Yes. And reconnecting with the land too. So thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just delighted to even be in this space again with you, Ellen, after our death doula-ship.
Yes. And maybe that would be a great place to start, because what I want to lift up out of that training, and again, I feel like it's all so beautifully divine, the way I was able to pair up with you for one of the exercises in which we had to exchange something that was really meaningful, that had, what's the word I'm looking for? Sentimental value. And so Jess and I paired up, and it was just such a beautiful, again, it felt very divine for me to receive what Jess had brought, which was a beautiful jade bracelet given to her by her mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just like so perfect. And I think our shared experience as Asians growing up away from the motherland and, going through a process of rejecting our culture really spoke to me too. So it all felt just so like right. And I just remember being in line with Jess while we were waiting for our food, and knowing that Jess works, as a somatic sex educator, and knowing a little bit about her background, but not much. But I remember standing in line and having this conversation in which Jess reminded me that in French, the word for orgasm means a little death. And I just found it was almost kind of like a breakthrough moment for me during the death
Mm.
meditate or death doula training, where I was like, wow, there's so much connection between death work and pleasure work, sex work.
Mhm.
I'm so curious
Yeah.
how you experience that for yourself too with that training.
Yeah, I was like really just always, I just kept connecting so many dots across the sex, death, pleasure, grief spectrum that is just such a galaxy of like, whoa, just making so many connections. But yeah, le petit mort, which is the little death, which like I feel for anybody who's experienced an orgasm, there is that inherent like relinquishing. There's like, it kind of feels like almost this ultimate release, or
Yeah.
in release, letting go. Like it feels like akin, for me, it feels akin to like losing yourself in a way, to this like wave of ecstasy or bliss or whatever is present in the body, just like poof, explodes.
Wow.
um,
Such a cool way of explaining it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like I kept coming back to that letting go, that relinquishing with all of this death work and this grief work and dying, was this like letting go to be present, letting go to
Mm.
really feel eros, aliveness.
Oh man. I love
Yeah.
the way you put that. It's the ultimate surrender.
Mhm.
Mm, mhm,
And with like, it's just so interesting. I think like I'm having a moment right now where I've been talking so much about like the breath holding both death and rebirth in the cycle of
mm,
breath, and just even connecting that now also to the orgasm, to sex, you know, and also
mhm,
even realizing in my own experience like the breath is so essential for me to actually reach that point of surrender, you know. um
mhm.
it's just all so connected, and I don't know if I've ever actually like really sat and thought about it before.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel, well, in my experience, actually in my past, and I've seen with a lot of clients and peers, is we've experienced this. Um, there's almost like a contraction for some people, or like a holding your breath, like holding on. I don't
Mm.
know how else to
Mm.
describe it, but this like physiological response that is like this clenching, this tensing, and like holding the breath, like as if we're trying to hold on to pleasure, like we just don't want to let it go. And in that, you almost, in my experience, I've like lost orgasms that way, by
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I have too.
holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and holding the breath. It's like, oh, it's too good, it's too precious, I can't let it go, it's coming. And then it's like, it just poof, it just like it mysteriously disappears.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'd love to like dig into your work as a
Yes.
somatic sex
Mm.
educator. Can you just
Tell us all about it.
yeah, unfold it for us? What do you do?
So, I, as a somatic sex educator, work intimately with the body and help guide anybody with becoming more intimate with their sensations. We orient towards pleasure and what feels good on the level of the body, versus what we think should feel good, and which unfortunately our culture, society, the world we're embedded in, there's so much messaging and scripts that we run off of how pleasure should be or look. So we're really just coming back to the body in somatic sex education and really asking ourselves what feels yummy right now.
It's really interesting to me that something as it sounds simple, right? It sounds simple to know what feels yummy to you. And yet, I feel like in this moment, there's so many of us, and I put myself in that same camp, who have or are still going through this. It's a disconnection from the body, but almost to the point where
Yeah.
it's like you're living with a stranger and you don't even really know what the sensations you're not even aware of the sensations that you're
Mm.
feeling, so you can't even know what feels good or what doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that your clients typically are challenged with when they come to you?
So what you just mentioned is is a big one. A disconnection, a disconnection in, well, often I work a lot with
Mm.
desire and consent. And oftentimes there's a disconnect between what we want and how our body is responding. So through working with the body, somatic practice, we're able to begin wiring and creating a congruency between what we really want and um, externalizing that through valuing what we want, trusting what we want, and then finally being able to ask for what we want.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, pleasure, boundaries, feeling more pleasure, feeling more aliveness, day to day or explicitly with sex, and relational things, boundaries is a big one.
Mm.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about like what an actual session might include for someone who's coming in and maybe is like feeling this major disconnection with their bodies?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'll usually start with engaging the senses. I find the senses to be a really just this immediate kind of access point that we most of us have access to at least one or a few or all of our senses. And we'll start with the senses, and then if it feels comfortable enough, going inwards and just kind of scanning or noticing parts of our bodies that feel good or feel less uncomfortable. But yeah, I'll usually start with either movement, touch, breath, even sight. Sight is so pleasurable, scent. Yeah, so many different access points. And then, sorry, can we
No,
go
go
back to
ahead, go
the
ahead.
question? What
Yeah.
was the question?
I was
I
getting
felt like
so
it
lost in what you were saying because I was just like imagining this incrable session that I was like, oh
I
my God, don't
know.
stop. Just like
I'm
hearing your
like,
voice talk about it, I'm like, this is amazing.
I was also like going like mapping my senses too, just be like, ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Wait, what was the question?
So good. Yeah, what a session would look like for someone who comes in and is disconnected with their bodies.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll usually start with the grounding meditation. There's usually, and then working with the body, either through the senses, and then we'll usually go into just different embodied exercises. Again, that might entail movement, voice, touch, breath, meditation. And then the invitation is to really focus on studying your body's response or reaction and really, really savoring that, really taking the time to just notice. And then there's always sharing to integrate and validate. And yeah, that I would say that's about it in a nutshell. And those exercises are, there's infinite possibilities with exercises that entail the body, but yeah.
I think the thing that strikes me the most is that I think reflecting on my own work, like my somatic work with my clients, I do a form of like somatic root healing, but
Mhm.
so much of the sensing or the observation is in like what doesn't feel good. It's the exact
Mm,
opposite, you know, like
mm,
where is
Mm.
the tightness? Where is the constriction? Where is the pain? Where is the, you know, like the weight or the
Mm.
heaviness? And what I love about what you're saying is that it's just, it's the same, but through a different doorway. And it's actually the doorway of
Mm.
pleasure, like what feels good, what feels like tingly, what feel, you know, and you're guiding people to observe these senses in their body, but through a totally beautiful, and I mean, for me, I'm like, man, I would much rather feel pleasure than pain, you know? But
Mhm.
going through that doorway and still getting to know the body through pleasure points and through, you know, the observation of the body in that way, what's enjoyable, what feels good, what's delightful. And I'm curious because I would imagine that in that observation and in that exploration, you still come across the shadow, you still come across the grief and the sadness
Mhm.
and anger or whatever
Mhm.
it needs to be
mm.
also released or what's being held in the body. Is that true?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Even just hearing your share about noticing the tightness or constriction, um, that's so inevitable when we're mapping pleasure. We also map and notice discomfort and what we don't want. And often in somatic pleasure work, noticing um, noticing new pathways of
Mm.
Mm,
pleasure to pleasure will um, often grief will arise simultaneously, or yeah, yeah, they um, I've really just noticed in this work how deeply pleasure and grief are entangled. They're really lovers in their own way. When we notice these novel places of pleasure, on the other side of that is noticing where we have lacked access to those places or pieces of us, if, even. And that's grief.
Mm.
There's
mm.
grief there too.
Do you ever find that um, along with the grief, your clients are working through some shame? Because I feel like pleasure, or especially erotic pleasure,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
so stigmatized in our culture around like well, I'll just leave it at that. It just feels very stigmatized in so many ways that I would imagine, like, I'm trying to put myself like in that position. I would imagine, especially if I had tried something like this when I was at the beginning of my journey and I was like, yeah, it was just like Ellen said, like walking with a stranger. I just like didn't know my body at all anymore. And like I think I would have been working through a lot of shame around asking for what feels good or acknowledging what feels good. To your point, if it was something that like seemed like it would be taboo or not received.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, we all carry, so we we all carry shame for sure, existing in our culture and just existing in a body. There are always parts of us that we at some point or another have outcasted because it learned, that part of us learned that it at some point it um, felt unwelcome, I guess, at the table, or that there was a part of us that wasn't acceptable, or we believed at one point didn't belong or made us less lovable, unfortunately. Which is heartbreaking. I feel the heartbreak just noting that. But yeah, certainly there's a lot of shame in in not a lot, but there's shame. There's shame. Shame is present. Shame is present in this work.
Yeah. I,
And
you
it's
know,
welcome. It's welcome.
Yeah.
it's, I think it's
Mhm.
a testament to who you are, Jess. Like your
Yeah.
energy, just you know, like it's outside of your training and outside of, like, I feel like who you are is so, it's like permission, you know, just permission to be present as you are. That probably puts your clients so at ease working with you, even when they're confronting things like shame, which, you know, it's like for me, every time I encounter shame, I just want to run and hide, and I don't want anybody to look at me, you know, and I don't want to, you know, I think it's one of the hardest things to confront. So I'm curious, like when you have somebody who is meeting or that shame is arising and they're almost kind of like starting to shut down a little bit, how do you actually invite them to continue exploring?
That's a great question. I almost always come back to resourcing um, pleasure in a more subtle way. So I find resourcing our senses to stay grounded that are
Mm.
also inherently pleasurable. This kind of grounding tether that can help move through this shame. And also orientating towards curiosity,
Mm.
which is often where compassion can spring from as well. But this curiosity um, around what's there, um, and holding. Yeah, there's. I will often I feel myself like kind of expanding like a big boulder almost with shame because it is so big. It's really
Yeah.
big. And we all have it. And a shame in somebody else it is in ways tethered to my own shame. And shame is a part of our humanity, and we can hold it all together.
Mm.
So yeah, resourcing my own groundedness, my own body, and um, in turn, I find that supportive, supportive in moving through shame.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like like co-regulation that you're offering to the
Mm-hmm.
people, yeah, that you're
Mm.
working with. That's really
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I'd love
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to talk about what you mentioned before too, like boundaries and consent.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, right? And I think as somebody who's like a recovering people pleaser and somebody who
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, a lot of my developmental wounds trained the energy in my body to kind of move outward and want to merge with other people. And so I think I've
Mm-hmm.
always kind of had this, like boundaries has been a big resounding and repeating lesson in my life. And it shows up so many different ways. But I'm really curious in your work, what that looks like with boundaries and consent.
Yeah. So when we notice what feels good, that sensation of when things feel right, what we want, and when we're also in touch with what we want, um, we're also again simultaneously in touch with what we don't want. So it really comes back to this internal sensation, um, of yeah, of what feels right now and what don't I want, and um, knowing what we don't want, that no, and our limits, that boundary that we create with our no, is what actually makes way and creates that spaciousness for what we do want, what we are able to give with our full heart. Because then it's contained, right? It's contained within that limit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, as you're talking, it's I know we're talking about pleasure, and I think, in my mind, pleasure always, for whatever reason, I think just is conditioning, always relates to sex. And sex is, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
just such a beautiful example of this kind of what you're talking about, boundaries, like saying yes or versus saying no, and what that no
Mhm.
actually means, and what you're saying yes to when you're saying no. But what's coming to my mind right now as you're talking is it's even in, the work that I'm doing right now. It's like me learning what to say no to after saying yes to everything is, it's like I'm feeling it in my body, like exactly what you're saying. It's like there's this beautiful container that's created, and space within that container to operate when I say no. And I think so much of it also is just like, I'm like reflecting in real time right now, just knowing what feels good to me. I think I had a really hard time, I think, identifying that for a really long time. I didn't know what felt good. It was just kind of like my mind was in control. And so
Mhm.
I just wanted to say yes to everything because intellectually speaking, or, logically speaking, it looked like more abundance, but really it was kind of wearing my body out and burning my body out.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep, I can relate to that. For sure, as a chronic, as like a recovering people pleaser as well. And I find too, we've been praised for it. We've been
Yeah.
praised for that.
Right.
We've been praised for being yesers and givers and um
Supporters.
supporters, totally. And it's so hard to um it can be really, yeah, it can be really, really sticky to step away from that,
Mm,
because it's an identity piece too, right?
Hmm.
yeah.
And sometimes it's almost like ancestral. It goes back so many generations,
Right.
like that
Mhm,
piece of it that we
mhm.
carry in our DNA.
Yeah.
So when you're working with somebody on noticing those boundaries, is it kind of this sort of guidance back into the body to figure out, like, just to notice like what their body's feeling as they're holding something, or as they're holding something in their life, whether or not they, or like that they're trying to figure out if they want to say yes or no to it?
Mm, mhm. Yeah, so one of the like most foundational pieces of I mean, so when we're working with consent, what we want, what we don't want, we're working with desire, and at the core of our desire is this sensation of pleasure. So I work a lot with The Wheel of Consent by Betty Martin. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before,
No.
but it's this tool. It's like it's an educational tool, for maybe a lack of better words for it in this moment, but that distills the rules of giving and receiving. But anyway, one of the foundational practices and one of the first things we learn, even before getting to the wheel, is a practice called waking up the hands. And it's really learning how to take pleasure for yourself and knowing what that feels like to take and receive pleasure on your own terms and really savor that. Because when we know what feels good on the level of our body versus, for example, being like praised for saying yes, we see the other person's happy and therefore that makes me happy. It's
Mm-hmm.
really coming back to what makes me happy right now. And that's kind of where it all begins. What do I want? How do I want to touch this object, which is essentially the exercise of waking up the hands. It's taking in pleasure through our hands with any object. Could be a strawberry, could be a shoe, like anything, and just really slowing ourselves down to feel the immediate input of what feels good.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
I I feel like as soon as we hang up this call, I'm gonna go practice.
I know. I
Like,
was just thinking about that too. I was like, ooh, what can I work with?
I know.
It's amazing what can arise when you really slow down and get curious with your hands. And we use
Wait,
our hands because they're so sensitive.
yeah.
There's just as it's our hands, our genitals, and our lips, I believe, that have the most nerve endings. So there's a lot of pleasure
Oh,
to be had in our hands.
Does it matter
wow.
what kind of I mean, I know you said it doesn't matter what kind of object, but like, is it more impactful if you use, for example, like a shoe versus something that you already find pleasurable?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like I would go. So usually when the game is played, there's like you just like reach into a pile or like there's a few options and you just reach for the one that you instinctually feel drawn to. So I think I personally, and I'm just going off a whim here, but I'm not even fully sure, just going for an object that you feel a desire towards to explore with
Mm.
your hands. I feel
Okay.
like the yummier the better almost, but that's just me.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to try this.
Well, it's
Mhm.
making me also think about like, okay, so I know this is exploration with the hands, but you mentioned a strawberry, and so for me, like food is totally my love
Hmm.
language. Um,
Oh
but
yeah.
but even holding different food objects, whether it's an egg or an orange or something like that, and just spending a moment to not even necessarily smell, but like feel with your hands and sense the nourishment, essentially, like the sustenance in your hands. There's something really, I mean, I'm imagining myself doing it. There's just sounds like something very potent about that, um,
Mm,
where you're bringing your awareness even deeper. Because oftentimes we just sort of like reach for the thing, cut it open, eat it, and then call it a day. But to actually explore
mhm.
something with your hands, not even with your nose or your tongue, but just with your hands first, sounds really powerful.
Yeah, there's so much there. I just like had like a whole carousel of like just like a cascade of sensations around like different yummy textures of like fruits, or even like a trippy one is fungi. Ellen, I don't know
Yeah.
if you resonate with that, but like,
Yes.
damn, like mushrooms feel
Mm-hmm.
meaty. Like a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
feel a lot like fresh. Some of the fresh mushrooms, I guess what is coming to mind right now is this like of just big oyster mushrooms, like how much they feel like skin, like
Yes.
Yes.
smooth ass skin.
I was just gonna say that. And I mean, it feels like the tenderest parts of skin. So when you're talking about like the
Totally.
ones that have the most nerve endings, like again, your genitals and your lips, that's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
skin that it feels like. It's not like necessarily arm skin or
Mm-hmm.
knee skin. It's like the softest parts.
The softest parts. Yeah.
I'm never gonna see
Mm.
mushrooms the same way again. Like they're really, really sensual. Wow.
They are. They are. And the ones that get slimy in
Uh-huh.
the rain, or the ones that are inherently slimy, I'm like, whoa.
I love it. I truly have never considered the similarity or the kind of I don't know, like the correlation between that. Super fascinating.
Yeah, there are some that get like kind of spongy too, and um, it's almost like when you're holding them, they like respond to your touch because they're just like they retract a little bit, but the rest of it's like where your fingers are, it retracts, but then around your fingers, it expands. It's very yeah. There's a lot there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And they take on your warmth.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. I'm like having visions of just
Fondling.
yeah,
I
fondling
know.
mushrooms. Oh my God,
I
that's
felt that. I felt that. We were all in the fungi fantasy space for a moment.
this is a whole other way I feel like that we can relate to mushrooms. Oh my God, you're like blowing my mind right now. um, I'm really curious as we're like kind of coming to the close of this conversation. I'm so glad that this conversation took this turn too, because
Yeah,
I
this is so
seriously
fun.
I have some homework to do. Um, if somebody is wanting to really start to investigate their pleasure and to start to get to know their body and connect to their body again through the doorways of pleasure, what would be your advice for them? How can they start just simply, even on a daily basis?
There's so many ways. I find everyone gets drawn to different things. Even like I see how everybody has a different creative practice, whether that's like, visual, or with food, or with, again, or with music. Like I'm coming back to the senses. I'm always coming back to the senses and how inherently delicious they are, and how designed we are for pleasure. But setting aside setting aside a little pocket of time of just giving yourself permission to intentionally savor whatever feels good to you, whether that's like a really beautiful song. How does that translate to your body when it kisses your ears and makes you want to move, like breathing into what feels good and letting it move you, or like maybe it wants to translate into like a touch, or anything like that. This is why I refer to the forest as my top sensuous allies. There's so much to um, that indulges our senses where we're
Yeah.
in the more than human world. There's endless sights to see, things to smell, things to touch, just even feeling the sun on your skin, like allowing yourself to just savor. Taking time to savor is, I would say, a great place to start. A great place to start because you once you start flexing those neural pathways, your body will naturally start orienting towards more. It will.
Mm.
Mm.
There's so much that I love about this practice because I think oftentimes we get a lot of people, I know I do, going like, I just don't meditate. I just can't breathe. I literally
Yeah.
get like people going, I don't know how to breathe, and there's always, there's like actually resistance to it. Like, I don't want to sit here, lay down and just breathe for like 25 minutes.
Especially when the breathing is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And even like I would say yin practices like restorative breathing, it's really
Mhm.
difficult. However, what you're describing, it's such a beautiful and natural, like intuitive way to just get back into the body
Mm.
and
Mm.
just like the word savor. I think the word that you use, savor, which I think is going to wind its way into the title of this podcast episode,
Yeah.
you know, just the
Mm.
invitation to savor. I don't know why we, yeah, it's like with the savoring, with the time spent savoring, you naturally slow down. You naturally create
Mhm.
space. You don't have to
Yeah.
force it, you don't have to like make it happen. It just happens automatically. And then your breath slows and deepens naturally when you're savoring.
Mm. And then your body
Mhm.
releases all those pleasure hormones.
Yeah.
You,
Exactly.
it's making me think about actually like the we have several jasmine plants all around my house here, and they just started to bloom. And so it's like every,
Ooh.
and yeah, and so I'm starting to smell the jasmine just like in the breeze
Mm.
now. And it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to go outside
Mm.
and just actually savor that. Like, I'm going to go swimming in that here in a minute. It's going to be
Mhm.
amazing.
It's the best.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
mouth watering. The smell of jasmine. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Don't they call it like the dark goddess or the goddess of
Mm.
night or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Oof.
such a sexy scent. Like, I love
Mm-hmm.
jasmine so much.
Super. Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
Mm.
This conversation, I mean, first of all, thank you so much, Jess, for just even
Yeah.
guiding us through. I mean, I feel like I'm now fully in my body because of this
Oh my
conversation.
gosh, me too. And like I
Hmm.
love the way that you describe things like yummy, delicious. Like, oh, I'm gonna start using more of that language in my life. It's just so yummy.
Yeah.
It's so
And
yummy. I love it.
the music kissing your ears, like, oh my
Hmm.
God, I'm totally gonna I'm using that for sure.
It's like a whole new way to think about
Mm.
things. I love it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you
so
both so
much.
much for this invitation and having me.
Yeah. Well, last question, where can people reach you and do you actually work with people virtually?
Yes, I do. I do. To be honest, I prefer working in person.
Hmm.
But I'm certainly willing to work online. And my website is sensingsoma.com. And my Instagram is sensingsoma.
Beautiful. We'll have those in the show notes for
Mhm.
everybody. Thank you once again, Jess. I'm just like so grateful to know you exist, know that you are drawn
Mm.
to this work of
Mm.
awakening all of our senses and getting us back into our bodies through pleasure. I think that there's something so potent and needed right
Hmm.
now. And yeah, it's just beautiful work. So just really grateful to be walking with you through this and also through the death support as well, the death companioning. Really grateful.
Mm. It's mutual. Very grateful for you too.
I love that you guys are so close through that experience. Like, what a special bond. It
Yeah.
warms my heart.
Mhm.
Music for Wu Nu is composed by Adam Miller.